My child, stop scrolling for a moment, because what you are about to hear did not reach you by accident. Something has been waiting at the edge of your spirit, quietly calling your attention, and heaven has chosen this exact moment to bring it closer. You may have felt unusually restless. You may have wondered why certain memories returned without warning, why a familiar name crossed your mind, or why your heart suddenly became heavy in the middle of an ordinary day. Do not dismiss that feeling. There is a reason your soul has been listening more closely than usual. Your soulmate has been carrying words they never believed they would have to say to you. Those words have not been easy to form. They have risen in their heart many times, only to disappear behind silence. They have imagined the moment of speaking them, then pulled back because they feared what might change afterward. But something has shifted. A truth they once believed they could keep hidden is becoming too powerful to contain. And before this message ends, you will understand why their silence was never emptiness, why their distance was never as simple as it appeared, and why they are now standing at an emotional crossroads that could change the direction of this connection forever. Pause here and breathe, because the first revelation is not what you expect. Your soulmate is not preparing to tell you that they have forgotten you. They are not trying to erase what existed between you. In fact, the opposite has happened. The more they tried to silence the connection, the louder it became within them. They told themselves time would make it easier. They believed distance would weaken the memories. They thought new routines, new conversations, and new responsibilities would eventually push your presence into the background. But your energy did not disappear. It followed them into quiet rooms. It returned in familiar songs. It surfaced in dreams they could not explain. And now they are realizing that what they felt for you was never temporary. Do not look away, because there is another layer to this. For a long time, your soulmate believed they had to protect themselves from the depth of this connection. They may have acted calm when they were overwhelmed. They may have appeared certain when they were deeply confused. They may even have allowed you to believe they were unaffected, because admitting the truth would have required them to face emotions they had spent years avoiding. They were not prepared for someone to see through the walls they had carefully built. They were not ready for a bond that could expose both their strength and their hidden tenderness. You touched a part of them that had been asleep. That is why this connection felt different from the beginning. It was never only about attraction, timing, or circumstance. Something in your presence made them remember who they were before disappointment taught them to hide. Something in your voice made them feel safe and unsettled at the same time. You reminded them of love, but you also reminded them of everything they feared losing. And now they want to say, I never thought I would have to say this to you, but I was more afraid of loving you than I ever admitted. Stay with this message, because that confession is only the surface. There was a moment when your soulmate almost chose honesty. They came close to telling you everything. Perhaps they typed a message and erased it. Perhaps they rehearsed the words in their mind. Perhaps they looked at your name and wondered whether to call. In that moment, their heart was ready, but an old fear rose faster than their courage. That fear did not begin with you. It came from something unresolved in their past. A promise that was broken. A moment when their vulnerability was misunderstood. A relationship in which they gave too much and lost themselves. A season when they learned that silence felt safer than truth. They carried those lessons into your connection without realizing how much power they still held. So when your love began reaching places no one else could reach, they did not know how to receive it. They questioned it. They tested it. They stepped closer, then moved away. They gave you warmth, then became difficult to read. And you may have blamed yourself. You may have wondered whether you said too much, cared too deeply, or expected something that was never real. But heaven wants you to understand this clearly: their confusion was not proof that you were unworthy. Their hesitation was not evidence that you were unlovable. Their inconsistency was the reflection of a private battle they did not know how to explain. And something has recently forced them to confront it. Do not skip what comes next, because this is where the story begins to turn. Your soulmate has seen something they cannot unsee. It may have been a conversation, a memory, a dream, or an unexpected moment of clarity. Something revealed the cost of continuing to remain silent. For the first time, they saw not only what they were protecting themselves from, but also what they might lose. They saw a future where your life continued without them. They imagined you healing. They imagined you becoming stronger. They imagined someone else recognizing your worth without hesitation. And instead of feeling relieved, they felt a wave of emotion they could no longer explain away. That moment changed them. Because until then, a part of them believed you would always remain emotionally near. They assumed there would be more time. More chances. Another opportunity to speak. Another moment to repair what had been left unfinished. But now they are beginning to understand that love cannot be kept waiting forever. Something within them whispered, "What if this is the last season in which the door remains open?" That question has followed them ever since. They have tried to ignore it, but it returns when the world becomes quiet. It appears when they remember the way you understood them without demanding explanations. It returns when they think about the patience you offered, the kindness you showed, and the moments you stayed even when their behavior made staying difficult. They are beginning to realize that you were not asking for perfection. You were asking for truth. And that is the very thing they struggled to give. My child, this is why their next words carry so much weight. They are not simply preparing an apology. They are preparing to expose a part of themselves they have hidden from almost everyone. They want to say, "I never thought I would have to tell you this, but I pushed you away because I knew you could become the person I would never be able to forget." Let that settle in your heart. They did not fear that the connection was weak. They feared that it was powerful. They did not step back because you meant nothing. They stepped back because you began to mean more than they knew how to handle. But there is still more. Your soulmate has been comparing every emotional connection to what they felt with you. They may not admit this openly, but something has been missing everywhere else. Conversations have felt incomplete. Smiles have felt temporary. Even moments that looked peaceful on the outside carried an emptiness beneath them. Because once the soul recognizes something genuine, imitation becomes difficult to accept. They have tried to convince themselves that they could find the same feeling elsewhere, but the more they searched for it, the more clearly they saw the uniqueness of what existed between you. This does not mean every moment was perfect. It does not erase misunderstandings, delays, or pain. But beneath all of it, there was something neither of you could fully name. A recognition. A sense that your stories were connected before either of you understood why. And now your soulmate is remembering the exact moment they first felt it. It may have been the way your eyes held both strength and softness. It may have been the calm they felt around you. It may have been a simple conversation that stayed in their mind longer than it should have. Whatever it was, something inside them said, "This person will matter." They did not know how much. And that is why their confession is becoming more urgent. Do not leave now, because something extraordinary is waiting in the next part of this revelation. Your soulmate has recently understood that their silence did not protect the connection. It wounded it. They thought withholding their feelings would keep them in control. Instead, it created the very distance they feared. They thought delaying the truth would give them time to become ready. Instead, it made the truth harder to speak. Now they are looking back at moments when you needed reassurance, and they are seeing them differently. They remember the questions you did not ask. The sadness you tried to hide. The times you became quiet because you were tired of guessing. They remember when you offered understanding even though you were hurting. And for the first time, they are allowing themselves to feel what you may have felt. That realization has humbled them. It has also awakened a deep regret. Not regret for meeting you. Regret for failing to honor the connection when it was asking for courage. They want to say, "I never thought I would have to admit this, but you were right to protect your heart from my confusion." Those words are difficult for them because they require responsibility. They can no longer blame timing, circumstances, or misunderstandings alone. They are beginning to see their own role in what happened. And yet, this message is not only about regret. It is about change. A quiet transformation has started within them. They are asking themselves questions they once avoided. Why did they run from what felt genuine? Why did they confuse emotional distance with strength? Why did they believe love had to be complicated to be real? Why did they expect you to remain while giving you so little certainty? The answers have not been comfortable. But discomfort is sometimes the doorway through which truth enters. Your soulmate is learning that love is not proved by hidden feelings. It is proved by honest action. It is not enough to care privately while leaving someone confused publicly. It is not enough to miss you in silence while allowing you to believe you were forgotten. And this is where the message becomes personal for you. Heaven does not want you to pause your life waiting for anyone to become ready. Your heart is sacred. Your peace matters. Your future is not meant to be held hostage by uncertainty. You are allowed to love deeply while still honoring yourself. You are allowed to forgive without returning to the same pattern. You are allowed to hear their truth without abandoning your own. This revelation is not asking you to chase them. It is preparing you to understand what may soon be spoken. Because your soulmate's confession will not only reveal what they felt. It will reveal what they failed to tell you at the most important moment. There was something they knew before the distance grew. Something they almost said. Something that could have changed everything. Stay until the end, because that hidden truth is closer than you realize. Before they withdrew, your soulmate had already imagined a future with you. They may never have shared the details, but they pictured ordinary moments. Quiet mornings. Long conversations. A sense of belonging. They wondered what it would feel like to build something lasting with you. That vision frightened them because it felt too real. They were used to imagining futures that remained safely distant. But with you, the possibility felt close enough to touch. It carried responsibility. It demanded vulnerability. It required them to become emotionally present. And they did not believe they were ready. So instead of telling you, they created distance. They chose uncertainty over exposure. But the future they imagined never fully left them. It has continued to return, especially now. Something in their life has made them question the path they are on. They may appear stable, but internally, they are re-examining everything. They are asking whether they have been living from truth or from fear. They are wondering whether the decisions they made were truly theirs or simply reactions to old wounds. And whenever they ask what their heart genuinely wanted, your presence rises again. Not as a fantasy. As unfinished truth. My child, do not confuse this with a promise that everything will unfold exactly as you once imagined. Divine timing does not force people to change. Love does not remove free will. But truth has a way of returning until it is faced. And your soulmate is closer to facing it than ever before. They have begun speaking about you indirectly. Perhaps they asked someone a question that seemed casual. Perhaps they revisited a place connected to your memory. Perhaps they searched for a sign that you still cared. They are trying to discover whether the emotional bridge between you still exists. But they are afraid of what they might find. If you have moved forward, they fear they waited too long. If you still care, they fear they may not deserve another chance. This is why their words begin with, "I never thought I would have to say this to you." Because they never imagined they would become the one asking for understanding. They never imagined you would become the stronger one. They never imagined the day would come when they would have to admit that your absence taught them what your presence had been trying to show them all along. You were not difficult to love. You were difficult to forget. And that truth has changed the way they see everything. Do not skip this next moment, because heaven is bringing you closer to the confession itself. Your soulmate has been carrying one specific memory. It is not necessarily the biggest moment you shared. It may have looked small from the outside. But to them, it became sacred. Perhaps you said something that made them feel seen. Perhaps you stayed calm when they expected judgment. Perhaps you smiled at them when they felt unworthy of kindness. Perhaps you believed in them during a time when they did not believe in themselves. That memory became a light they returned to in darker moments. They never told you how much it mattered. They never told you that your presence helped them survive an emotional season they rarely speak about. They never told you that sometimes, when they seemed distant, they were silently holding on to the strength your words had given them. And now they are carrying guilt because you may never have known the impact you had. They want to say, "I never thought I would have to tell you this after so much time, but you saved a part of me without even knowing it." This is the confession beneath the confession. They are not only missing a relationship. They are missing the version of themselves that existed when they felt emotionally safe with you. But listen carefully, because this is where your power must remain intact. You are not responsible for rescuing them. You are not required to heal every wound they refuse to face. Your love may have awakened them, but their transformation must be chosen by them. Heaven is showing you their inner truth not so you will carry their burden, but so you will stop carrying false blame. You were never too much. You were never impossible to understand. You were simply standing before someone who had not yet learned how to receive what they prayed for. And now, they are realizing that the blessing they asked for may have arrived in a form they were too afraid to recognize. Something huge is waiting for you at the edge of this revelation. Your soulmate is preparing to make a choice. Not merely whether to contact you. Whether to continue living behind emotional walls or finally become honest. That choice will shape what happens next. They know that words alone will not be enough. They know they cannot simply return with affection and expect the past to disappear. They understand that trust, once strained, must be rebuilt with patience and consistency. This realization is why they have delayed. They are not only asking, "What should I say?" They are asking, "Am I ready to become the person my words require me to be?" And the answer is still forming. But something happened recently that pushed them closer. A person may have confronted them. A dream may have shaken them. A sudden memory may have opened an emotional door. Or they may have seen something about your life that made the possibility of losing you feel real. Whatever happened, they could no longer pretend. They felt the truth rise in them with undeniable force. "I love this person more deeply than I ever admitted." Those words frightened them. But another truth followed. "And my silence may have cost me everything." My beloved child, this is where part 1 must leave you, because the final truth your soulmate is preparing to reveal is not only about why they walked away. It is about what happened on the exact day they decided not to tell you how they felt. There was a conversation you never heard. A decision made behind closed doors. A promise your soulmate made to themselves. And one sentence spoken by someone close to them that changed the direction of your connection. Your soulmate has carried that sentence ever since. Now they are ready to tell you what was said. But the most shocking part is not who spoke those words. It is what your soulmate did immediately afterward.